So when it comes to someone like a Piers Morgan, and I did a poll, I don't know if you guys participated, but I did a poll of the 4 most annoying, hateful political commentators. I think it was Stephen Smith, Joe Rogan, Bill Maher, and Piers Morgan. And crazy enough, number 1 so far is Joe Rogan, and number 4 comes in Piers Morgan. And that's who we're talking about today. And with people like him, because trust me, Piers Morgan is not an anomaly here. He has no idea how reality works. And if he does, he doesn't show it on camera. I've been watching Piers Morgan for about 2 years. This is what I get from him. But he does what all political entertainers, he's not a journalist, he's not really a commentator to me. He's a political entertainer. That's all he can do. And this debate that we're going to watch proves that. But all he has to work with is cultural war topics. And some of them, is trans and sports. That's all he has to go by. And old Republican talking points. He has no idea what's beneath the surface of any of these conversations. So, oddly enough, Piers Morgan decides to go on Jubilee, which for Jubilee, we need to put on our blockers here. Once again, this is for copyright purposes. Don't get mad at me. This is to protect my revenue going to Jubilee, because trust me, I do not like Jubilee like that. But unfortunately, that's where the conversations are happening. But he is now on Jubilee, Piers Morgan versus 20 woke liberals. And just by reading the title, I already know this is going to be some bullshit, to say the least. And I was right. I wasted an hour and 30 minutes of my life watching this. Can't believe it. I want my money back. I'm going to send an email to Jubilee saying I want my money back, okay? But
clicking that link, you're not just...
But of course, I was able to find decent conversation. And just watch how Piers Morgan has no idea how to handle real conversations. So
my next surrounding claim.
Okay, yeah, this is his claim. Let's take a listen.
I love the governor's mom.
And nice to see you. Good to see you. My next surrounding claim is that woke ideology is anti-liberal and fascistic.
How's it going?
How are you?
Good to meet you. My name is Evan.
Evan?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Evan.
My issue with this claim is I find associating wokeism with fascism to be quite ironic. Wokeism to me is a term that's used, a shorthand pejorative term that's used to describe left-wing cultural politics. And I think the term wokeism and people on the right often use it as a means to deflect and distract from class politics. And there's a very key example of this. So the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, this was something that you actually celebrated quite a bit when it initially came into office. Elon Musk was coming in to root out waste, fraud, and abuse. Obviously, they found 0 instances of fraud. To the extent they found waste, it was just stuff that they ideologically disagreed with. And there were all these programs they were cutting, for example, like LGBTQ programs in Latin America, et cetera. And we were celebrating this all as a big victory. But this was all a distraction because what the agency was actually doing was destroying the National Labor Relations Board, a board that is designed to protect workers' abilities to unionize, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, a bureau that is meant to protect consumers from billionaire capitalists like Elon Musk. These institutions, along with the IRS, all of these institutions meant to actually protect and put a check on capitalist billionaires like Elon Musk and the consolidation of fascistic power in our state. All of that was being distracted by this term wokeism. And I think that when you obsess over things like trans people in sports or DEI policies and XYZ, it is a deliberate means to distract from these.
Now, this guy spoke, I kid you not. Let me take a look. He got on around 22 and finished around pretty close to 24 minutes. So about 2 minutes and some change, he was speaking. And to me, I'm sorry if I'm being biased, was speaking facts. Nothing but bars. Facts. When it comes to the word woke, Republicans twisted a word, just like critical race theory. They took something and used it for their own political gains, for their political issues, and twisted it. And Piers Morgan knows that, because throughout this interview, he's talking about how woke was something else and now it's something else. Well, why is it something different now? Because Republicans turned it into something different. Just like DEI in affirmative action, they purposely turned it into something different to weaponize it, to fearmonger people. And he's right. Doge went in, did a lot of illegal stuff. They did illegal stuff that it would take years to really dissect and figure out the damage they have done, not to only Americans, but people around the world. And it's illegal. But yet, we were distracted by cultural BS. And listen to how Piers Morgan responds. 2 minutes, remember, 2 minutes full of substance that you can argue, and listen to his response. I kid you not, this is his go-to response.
Or DEI policies and XYZ, it is a deliberate means to distract from these very real issues.
Really?
Yes, 100%.
Well, let's take what you just mentioned, trans athletes in sports. Do you think it's a good idea?
Oh my God, I swear, I need to invest in a punching bag. My apartment is already getting full enough. I need to invest in a punching bag. I kid you not. This makes me angry. This is why I have no patience for people. I used to be a patient guy. I used to be a loving, outgoing guy. And now I want to punch people. Not Piers Morgan, for YouTube. If you're watching, I'm not talking about being violent, okay? But out of all that old boy just said, he said, well, let's talk about it. Trans in sports. How do you feel about it? No, he literally just told you that was the distraction to the real damage that is being done. How stupid are we being right now, Piers? What are we doing here? This is how I know he has no idea of what is going on around him. He doesn't know. He can't contest it. He can't argue it. Sweet guy.
100%.
Well, let's take what you just mentioned, trans athletes in sports. Do you think it's a good idea?
Not necessarily. I mean,
it either is or it isn't.
So it depends on which sport, and it depends on which
sport is it a good idea?
But notice what you're doing right now, right?
You mentioned it. I didn't mention it.
Well, what I mentioned is that these are all a means to distract from the very real issue.
Okay.
Well, can you at very least acknowledge that you did celebrate Doge despite it rooting out all these institutions that actually impact Americans' lives?
I'll answer you.
Sure.
I thought the cutting government waste was a good thing.
Sure.
Do I think it was well executed? Not particularly. Sorry, you've got to let me finish.
Sorry, go for it.
Do I think it was well executed? Not particularly. You know, Elon left pretty quickly and the government just carried on spending a ton of money. You know, do I think some of the things they cut were wrong? Yes, I agree with you. Do I think all of them? No, I think they did find examples of waste. So, you know, if you had a proper, consistent, ongoing Doge mentality, which cut genuine things which we all can agree are probably a bit wasteful, I'd be all for it. Do I support everything they cut? No, I don't. But given you mentioned the trans thing, because I hear a lot from the woke left. And
he didn't argue with anything. He just gave you a simple, I mean, they did some good, they did some bad. That was it. No, Piers, they caused damage. And like he said, they got rid of institutions that were beneficial for Americans to stop the exploitation of companies. And of course, Elon Musk, being a company man, he got rid of these essential institutions for himself and his friends. That's the problem. You can get deep into that. You can get into why we should eliminate money within politics. We can talk about how millionaires and billionaires like Elon Musk is able to rig a election and then get his stubby, greedy little fingers into our government and personal sensitive information. We can talk about that. But no, he can't. Now he wants to talk about trans in sports.
I try and say to them, look, if you want to know why Donald Trump got re-elected, your worst nightmare coming true, and you all sit there on election day thinking, how on earth has this happened? Well, one of the reasons was he just stood there. Well, you can shake your head, but one of the reasons is he stood there and went, under me, if I get elected, then I am going to ban trans athletes from women's sport.
Yeah. Well,
no.
Wait, can I just respond to that
I'm
directly?
going to add one thing to it, then you can respond. If you remember, Kamala Harris endorsed it, thought it was a good idea. So the first potential female president of the United States thought it was fair and equitable and safe that biological males compete in women's sport. Trump understood that most people in America, most people around the world, outside of the woke left, do not agree with that. And there's a reason we don't agree with it. Let me finish. The Olympics are coming here, right, to Los Angeles.
And you're also wrong about Imane Khelif, by the way. Yeah.
Well, I'm not wrong about Imane Khelif. Well, Imane Khelif was banned from the World Championships. She's an Algerian boxer, banned from the World Championships because of testing positive for male chromosomes, right?
That's not true.
Well, it is true.
No, so
you may not want to believe
okay,
it, but it is
okay,
true.
So,
all right, here's some information about that. Once again, I don't care about women boxing. I don't care about boxing in general. I'm not really a sports guy. I watch a little football, which the Broncos is crushing it right now, but that's a whole nother conversation. I now got to figure this stuff out just to entertain this conversation. And 9 times out of 10, these people who are concerned about women in sports don't even watch these sports, to be honest. But here's some information. In March 2023, the Boxing Federation, the IBA, disqualified Khelif and Lin Yong Ting after they failed a vague, undisclosed gender eligibility test. No medical details were ever released, and both athletes identify as women. So that was before the controversy that we know now. So they passed, and now they were able to continue boxing. For the 2024 Olympics, the IOC overruled the IBA and declared both athletes eligible to compete. Rumors that Khelif is trans came from speculation, not evidence. What more do we need to figure out here? Why is this Piers Morgan's main defense over anything and everything? You can talk about the weather, he's going to bring it to trans in sports. Piers Morgan can get ran over by a car, go into the hospital, and blame it on trans in sports. Piers Morgan could be walking outside and get struck by lightning and still blame it on trans in sports somehow, some way, but he's going to do it because he has nothing else to use, which is problematic.
So the International Olympic Committee said that Imane Khelif was both born female. She has a female passport. Algeria, you think Algeria, the state of Algeria, recognizes trans identity? Really, Piers? Like, let's be honest with ourselves. The only institution the institution that claimed that she failed an unspecified gender or sex identity test was some Russian-backed organization that is not internationally recognized by the International Olympic Committee. But wait, but
hang on.
Let me reset.
Evan, you can't say something and me not challenge you back if you're wrong.
I know, but that's exactly what you did earlier. I just need to quickly get into.
All Imane Khelif has to do is take a sex
Sure,
test.
sure, okay,
They're
okay.
now bringing the
Okay,
sex
I don't-
test in.
I don't
Then
want-
there's no problem.
Sure,
Why
I
do you think Imane Khelif is not
Sure,
taking
I don't
a
want you to
sex
distract
test?
from the fact that the election, there is no evidence that people voted based on their opinions on trans
Let me
identity.
give it to you.
No, wait,
Let me give it
let
to
me,
you.
let me,
Evan,
in a Gallup 2024
there is
poll.
no evidence?
Yes, in a Gallup 2024 poll, post-election, out of 22 issues, trans issues ranked 22 out of 22.
Can I respond?
In every
Can I
election in
respond?
all OECD countries across the world,
Permission to
inflation
respond,
and the
Evan?
economy. Yes, but I
Evan,
just let you go on.
Let me just
Sure,
respond to
okay,
you.
Sure.
So what he just said, I don't know if you guys can see that, but it says a Gallup poll conducted in September 2024 found transgender rights to be 22nd on the list out of 22 issues. It was literally at the bottom of the list. Piers, or Mr. Morgan, whatever you like. If you're watching, I know you're watching. Go ahead, subscribe, become a member. Go ahead, buy a shirt. I know you want to. I know I got a super duper extra large for you. I got you. But what are you talking about? But okay, let's hear his reasoning.
Actually, if you read the New York Times the week after the election,
I did read the New York Times, yeah.
Then you will remember a deep dive they did
And
into
they-
it. Wait a minute, stop talking. You want to talk all the time.
Sorry.
Show me some respect.
Sorry.
There was a New York Times report into a particular commercial ad, campaign ad that the Trump side put out. And they originally started it in a few sports arenas. They got bigger and bigger and bigger. And the ad was basically a 30-second mashup of Kamala Harris endorsing trans athletes in women's sport and in women's spaces and so on and so on. And it ended with Kamala is for they, them. Donald Trump is for you. The New York Times said that they believe that moved the needle, they're reporting, by as much as 3 points.
Based on what
so
information?
Ask the New York Times.
No, that's not. You understand?
No.
News agencies
Evan,
aren't conducting polling
if I may
analysis by
finish.
themselves. That same
If I may
article
finish.
cited the Gallup poll
Evan,
that I just identified,
yes.
where trans issues ranked
But they said
22
it
out of
moved
22.
one ad moved the
That-
needle by 3 points.
And based on what information? If you poll people on what issues that they cared about in the 2024 election,
So you don't
all
think-
of it was centered around economy and inflation.
Okay.
And this is just obvious because this was a global phenomenon. Every incumbent party across the world lost elections.
A lot of Democrats and people on the woke left in particular have tried to assure me that absolutely nobody cares about trans athletes in women's sport.
People care. The right.
Okay. Here's the thing. People care in a sense of if it's within their moment. I don't want to say no one cares. I'm pretty sure someone out there in some school, if this is a situation, the people, the school, the coaches, other institutions can figure this out. But this is not a pandemic. You know how I know it's not a pandemic? Guess what? I got the facts. And I need you to pay attention. Trans people overall make up a small portion of the U.S. population, roughly 1.6 million people age 13 and older per a 2022 estimate. At the professional level, the leadership of NCAA recently testified that among its more than 500,000 athletes, there are fewer than 10 who are openly transgender. Out of 500,000, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 out of 500,000. Can somebody tell me where the problem is here? Can somebody tell me where the pandemic is? Because I'm missing it. It is not there. But we already know the Republican Party want to make something out of nothing. And that's how he won. Come on, Piers, tell me.
Right cares, but your
So
median voter cares more about what's in their pocketbook.
My question for you is,
and you're doing exactly what I claimed you were doing earlier by using wokeism to distract from class politics.
My question for you is this. I interviewed a woman called Betty Yee a couple of weeks ago on my show. She's a candidate to be governor of California, and she endorsed in my interview gender-neutral Olympics when it comes to Los Angeles. Now, that to me is where the woke mind virus takes you, to complete and utter insanity. Because if there was a gender-neutral Olympics, and this woman might be governor of this state.
Does she have any control over the Olympics or the policies of the Olympics?
Wait a minute.
Is she impacting
I'm talking about the mindset that says that actually gender-neutral. Do you agree with me? Can we reach a point of agreement that that would be absurd?
I don't. You know,
you don't know.
It depends on the sport. It depends on the sport.
She specified
some sports.
She specified, she specified track and field.
But guess what? I don't care what some.
You don't care about women losing.
No. This is a governor's position. This is a state representative.
Okay.
Who is it? A mayor?
What's your opinion?
Dude, honestly, it doesn't matter.
It does matter.
No, because this person has no institutional power.
Fine.
And this is exactly what I mean. When you champion Elon Musk and you're like, oh my God, he's correctly identifying the woke mind virus and doing X, Y, and Z, you're distracting from the very real issue that we have an unelected billionaire.
You're now distracting.
No, this is...
Answer my question.
We exist in the conversation of a larger...
Evan,
yes,
answer my question.
It depends on the sport.
Give me a sport where it would be fine.
Archery.
Hey, that's a good point. Archery, I would think, is a good sport. And he answered this question. But my question is, why would I care? As an American citizen, why would I care about 10 trans athletes in sports when I can't find a job that is paying a livable wage? Why would I care if I can't afford health care? Why do I care about sports in general when I can't find affordable housing, affordable rent? Why do I care? Education is not even affordable, but we want to spend time talking about 10 out of 500,000 in sports. I do not care. I'm going to say it. I don't care. I don't care. Piers Morgan, it's that simple. I do not care. Once we solve every other issue, along with, poverty throughout the world, then maybe we can entertain this conversation. But until then, I don't care. I wish somebody would tell Piers Morgan that. I don't care. I care about my well-being and me being able to survive. And then my kids being able to survive when they get older. That's what I care about. I don't know. But hey.
I promise, Mason.
Mason.
I do not mean this as an insult.
No, please,
you
far
seem
away.
way more comforting in person. Like you look taller on your show. Like, and you have this like very like.
I'm 6'1". What are you talking about?
I don't. When I saw you walk
in,
I don't know. Maybe you just look like a giant on your show.
Well, thank you. I don't know how to take that, but I'll take it as a compliment.
Yeah. So I really want to make sure that we get our definitions correct first.
Yes.
When you say that wokeism equals fascism, would you say that's like the claim diluted into like a small sentence?
Let me explain what I mean by that.
Okay.
And I've talked about this a lot in my book, Woke is Dead. And again, just to remind you, I come at this as a pissed off liberal who has nothing in common with the woke left and wants the woke left to actually come back to a more commonsensical.
Now, here's the trick that they play. He just said he comes at this as a liberal. No, you don't. Who are you fooling? Every talking point that you ever has spewed out of your mouth has been right-wing talking points. Who's stupid enough? Please raise your hand in the chat right now. I want to see you if you're stupid enough to believe that Piers Morgan is a liberal. Please let me know. Who is he fooling with that? He's a liberal? Okay, got you. And I am Santa Claus, okay? And you ain't getting no present because you stupid enough to believe that. You get nothing this year for Christmas, okay? How about that?
Electable position, actually. And here's what I think about what wokeism became. It began in the 60s in Black American music. In its origin, a great thing. It was about raising awareness for social and racial injustice. By that criteria, I'm happy to say I'm woke. But that's not what's happened in the last few years. In the last few years, for a combination of reasons, one of which the pandemic sent everybody nuts. Everyone was at home drinking too much on the internet, firing off all their ridiculous views and just got into rabbit holes and so on. But we can leave that. But wokeism is supposed to be a celebration. You would, I would think, agree.
Yeah,
Hang on. It's
But
supposed to be
Piers, you're the person in the center. Can I talk a little bit on my 3 minutes I get before I'm voted out?
I haven't made my point.
Okay.
Do you agree that it's supposed to be about liberalism, about being a liberal?
I would say that the idea of wokeism is kind of an evolution from a bunch of different terms that have been used to throw at the left specifically.
So
like before wokeism, it was critical race theory. Before critical race theory, it was social justice.
Right.
There's a lot that the right specifically, and I know you say that you're not the right.
Does it celebrate?
But it's a reactionary.
It's
a reactionary response towards the elevation of certain groups that has historically been silenced.
But does it celebrate liberalism?
I don't think so. I don't think it has to. I think a lot of it also has to talk about class solidarity, which typically is.
Yeah. Once again, what is he talking about? Being woke celebrates liberalism? I don't know. I'm gonna have to look into this, but I have no idea what he is talking about. When black artists, rap artists used to talk about being woke and staying alert and being aware, I don't think they were talking about celebrating liberalism. I don't know. Maybe I missed it, but Piers is obviously trying to create his own definition so he can create his own argument here, obviously.
Let me give you a little Latin lesson, because the Latin was liber, meaning free, and also the root of liberty, meaning the quality or state of being free, and liberalis, meaning courteous, generous, gentlemanly.
I love these definitions.
Wait a minute.
Can you describe?
You asked for a definition.
But can you describe
I'm
fascism?
giving you one.
That's
Yes.
really what I want to talk about.
I know what fascism is.
Wait, what is it then? Because enlighten me.
Can I finish telling you what liberalism is?
No, I know what liberalism is.
Well, you don't think you do.
Yeah,
Because
it
if you're
is.
a woke left, they don't understand what being a liberal actually
No.
means. I do.
What being a liberal...
I do. So let me explain to you. The definition of a liberal include one who is open-minded or not strict in the observance of orthodox, traditional, or established forms or ways, a person who's willing to respect or accept behavior or opinions different from one's own, favorable to or respectful of individual rights and freedoms, and concerned with broadening general knowledge and experience. Now, what part of that do you think the woke left have adhered to in the last 5 years?
But I need to know, why is it fascism?
I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
So the woke left have basically said, we hate fascists, we hate Nazis. In fact, we think everyone we don't agree with is a fascist and a Nazi.
That's where he is wrong. That's where he is wrong. Now, one, I can only speak for myself, but I am very strategic in who I call fascist. It is... You can't call, obviously, anyone and everyone a fascist. And I would believe, if I had to put some money on it, I would believe not every progressive or woke left, I don't know what that means, but if they disagree with someone, they're calling them a fascist. Most people don't even know what that word means. Hey, you want Medicare for all? I want... Obamacare, you don't agree with me, you're a fascist. No, people are not using that word for that disagreement. So Piers, I think people are a little bit smarter than what you think, especially progressives. And if we call you a fascist, trust me, we done our homework. We know what that means. Historically, we know what that means. So we use these words cautiously. But that's his way to create his own straw man argument. Oh, everyone who disagrees, you call fascist. No, Piers, you're wrong.
Led by Donald Trump.
That's an insane generalization.
Led by everyone who voted for Trump. Led by Charlie Kirk. Led by all these people.
Can I tell you what
Wait,
I represent?
let me finish my point, then you can respond. That they're all a bunch of fascists. They're all a bunch of Nazis. And I kept warning the woke left, as a pissed off liberal, stop over-demonizing people by using the word Nazi and Hitler and fascist. It is ridiculously self-harming to yourselves, and it leads actually to young deranged minds like the assassin of Charlie Kirk to actually put anti-fascism slogans on their bullets and to murder people for their speech, right? So wokeism, in the end, in the last few years, transformed from what was supposed to be a celebration of liberalism in many ways into a form of fascism. Why do I say that? Because it conditioned people that you either adhere to our narrow worldview And if you don't, we're going to shame you, vilify you.
Look, all the flags are up. I didn't even get to talk, Piers. Let me talk.
I'm going to let you respond.
I'm going to lose my time.
Cancel you, or in some circumstances, we're going to kill you for your free speech and opinions. Okay. And that is where it became, in my opinion, a very dangerous,
but it just sounds like
very deluded
it sounds like you're trying
form of fascism.
It sounds like you're
which
trying
is ironic because.
So fascism isn't just one check box. Once again, if you guys been watching my content, I've went over this dozens of times. It is a list. For example, let's just say it's 12 things that make someone or a administration fascist. And just because it checks off one, which I'm not even giving Piers that one, because our politicians are not acting in this way. He's talking about random people on the internet. That's who he's talking about. That's not our government. Our government, or the progressive politicians, are not these random people on the internet. He's conflating the two. When I call someone a fascist, like Trump, I'm talking about Trump. I'm not talking about some weirdo random on the internet. I'm talking about this administration and the acts that they are doing, which is echoing history. Piers is trying to talk about random people on the internet. That's not how that works. So, come on, Piers, do better.
Because wokies say they hate the fascists.
It sounds like you're trying to correlate fascism with authoritarianism, which is control of speech or control of how people interact or control of behavior.
Fascists do control speech.
Right, that can be a part of it, is the authoritarianism. But the specific part of fascism is specifically trying to preserve a hierarchy based on either shared ethnicity or shared culture. That is the idea of elevating
but
one
the woke
specific
left of their
group
own
into the top. No,
yes, you are.
So you're telling me that Hitler would have been wearing a BLM
God.
shirt, or Hitler would have been wearing an
of course he
Antifa? Because wokeism is not fascism. Fascism is specifically dealing with one particular group. They're elevating to the top of the hierarchy.
Who identify
that's what we saw in fascist Italy. That's what we saw in Nazi Germany. That's what we saw in Imperial Japan.
But Mason,
none of that correlates with the elevation of particular groups that have historically been silenced, which is the idea of what progressivism is.
I hear you.
I reject the idea of wokeness just because wokeness, again, is used as that insult that is elevated from different insults that have been thrown in the past.
Respectfully, I think wokeism has become one of the worst scourges in the world.
Yeah, because I think that there's been a successful...
In the world, Craig. We're talking about the entire world here, okay? He just said being woke is the worst thing in this world right now. Can somebody get this guy out of here? What are we doing here? Why is Piers Morgan even here?
Campaign to basically attach
by the woke left.
No, it has been to attach all of these pejoratives to a idea of emancipation from silenced groups. That's the idea.
There's nothing silent about the woke
the idea
left.
that we should bring people to the table.
Any of you.
No,
ever. You never stop.
That's why I hear so much about cancel culture, about how everybody's getting canceled when they're millionaires with podcasts that talk about this shit every day.
The best quote I have in my book, Woke is Dead, and clearly it's still slightly alive here, but the best quote, I had an Australian woman come up to me in the streets in London, and she said, "Mr. Morgan, do you mind if I just say something about these wokies?" I went, "Sure." She said, "They just want to suck all the joy out of life." And I went, "God, you're so right. That's exactly what they do."
What is the joy that you're sucking out? Stop saying slurs is sucking out the joy of life? You want to say slurs that bad?
I don't want to say slurs.
Well, that's like...
But you are collectively the most joyless group of people to ever walk on God's earth.
I'm pretty joyful. I'm smiling. I came in cracking jokes.
My advice is...
I can get a beer with you.
My advice for all of you is...
I think you need to relax a little bit.
Collectively, a bit of... I know you love a bit of Zen. Zen, calm down, take a chill pill, right? See the funny side of life.
I'm pretty chill.
Respect other people's opinions. Respect my right to have different opinions.
I think that you've dressed this like nightmarish scenario around you, and then you start cowering. No, then you start cowering at the own demons that you set up. It's funny that like are the wokies
Are the wokies cowering in this room?
You're saying they're the joyless people.
I've come and sat in the middle of 20 hardcore.
They are joyless. They're ruining the joy of life.
Cowering?
They're sucking out the happiness. They're sucking out the happiness of society. That's the idea. You're saying the happiness is being sucked out by woke people.
I think you're just...
Okay, guys. Yeah. I don't even... Normally, I would do like 3-4 conversations from these weird Jubilee, not even discussions, just talkings. Like they're talking at each other. But honestly, the entire debate, if you call it that, was like this here. Nothing was getting understood here. Like on purpose by Piers. He did not want to engage with the substance that was being handed to him like a child. You know how you put the food on a spoon, you make like airplane noises? Like, that's not an airplane. That was more like a pigeon. I don't know why I did pigeon noises, but it's like, here's the airplane, here you go. And he did not want to eat it. He did not want to eat his food. And we're supposed to take someone like Piers Morgan seriously. I refuse to. But unfortunately, I know it's going to be somebody in the comments saying, well, stop covering Piers Morgan. Oh my God, I can't stand Piers Morgan. Understand this. Piers Morgan, as stupid and ignorant as he is, racks in millions upon millions of views a week. Some of them are probably just like me, watching just to see the stupidity. But I'm assuming some people actually takes what he says as gospel truth, which is the scary thing. And that's what we have to defend. That's what we have to attack intellectually, not physically. That's what we have to have a counterpoint to. Even though it is as stupid as it is, we need to engage with their stupidity. Like it or not, that's what we have to do. And it is safe to say Piers Morgan is an idiot.
Yeah,
that's
let's
it.
see how you do under pressure. Yeah, I've been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Hey. Ain't no errors, baby, it's a new era. I wake up early, feeling rich like I'm Kesha. I get to the paper, boy. Extra, extra.